Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming to this meeting of the Council Tax Setting Committee, Monday the 27th of February 2023. It is a small agenda, as it's just for the Council Tax Setting, but I do need to go through the evacuation procedure. We do have some new members of the public with us this evening. A fire drill is not expected, so if there isn't alarm sounds, please vacate the building by the emergency exits with a green sign, either at the back or through the way that you came in, and we meet outside of the Lloyd's Bank over the road. As I say, it's not expected, but if you do hear the sound, please do exit, and if anybody needs any assistance in exiting, please make any officer aware of that requirement. Moving on to item 2, apologies. Do we have any apologies? Everyone here, thank you. Item 3, declarations of interest. I've not been notified of any additional declarations. I'm sure members will indicate at any appropriate time. Thank you. Item 4, public consultation. I've only been notified of one member of the public wishing to speak this evening, and that's Mr. Smith. You should be given the microphone. We'll remind you to please keep to the agenda item that we're discussing this evening. Thank you. 3 minutes, Mr. Smith.
Right. First thing we need to do is to clarify whether there are any fit and proper people present to pass this budget. At the previous meeting, Councillor Gutteridge confessed that he failed to issue a safety warning when he received it, leaving
Mr.
people
Smith,
of the borough
Mr. Smith, I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Without a warning.
Yeah, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but
This
it's
is
required to speak.
This is about a fit and proper council to pass.
No, this is to speak
None
to
of
these
you,
minutes, Mr.
None of you.
Mr. Smith, it's to speak to the agenda item before us this evening.
Malfeasance is breaking the law. Failing to give a safety report when you received it is breaking the law.
That's for you to take up with the officers.
No, he knows, you all know.
Mr. Smith,
You
that's
know,
not what we're discussing
you know
this
as well,
evening.
yeah, that nobody in this council picked it up, proves that none of you are fit to pass this budget.
Mr. Smith, I'll ask you to speak to
none of you.
I'll ask you to speak
are
to the
fit
report,
pass this
please.
budget. You
Please,
failed. You breached the contract
please
with the
speak to
people
the
of this
report, Mr. Smith.
borough. You breached the contract. You breached it. You failed to give a safety order. You took the mickey out of the public. Yeah? The other idiot was waving plastic bags.
You are not speaking to the report, Mr. Smith.
It was you that needed the plastic bags because for 6 days.
Mr. Smith,
you
if you're not
failed
speaking to the report,
in your duty,
I'm going to ask you to stop speaking
to
now,
give a warning.
please. I'm going to ask you to stop speaking now, please, if you're not going to speak to the report.
Right? You failed. None of you picked it up.
Mr. Smith.
You didn't pick it up.
Mr. Smith,
you didn't pick
would you
it up.
take the
You're in the
microphone,
room.
please?
It took the public,
Smith.
to bring this to this
Smith,
meeting because you failed.
Please
in
give the
your
officer the
duty.
microphone.
All of you.
Now, please.
All of you.
Mr. Smith.
All of you.
Please
failed in your duty.
Mr. Smith.
You're not fit to pass this budget.
I will suspend the meeting.
You're not fit to pass this budget. None of you.
Right, the meeting is now suspended.
Suspend it.
Right. Well, sorry. The warning was given in relation to the fire evacuation procedure, which I've already given at the meeting, which I started with at the agenda. We'll now recommence the meeting. No, I'm sorry. The questions need to be notified before the meeting starts, and there was only Mr. Smith indicated, but he didn't keep to the point that is on the agenda that we're discussing this evening. Sorry? The agenda is the council tax setting for the full council area, and that's the only point on the agenda this evening. Yeah, Councillor Croft. Excuse me, can we just have some quiet in the public gallery, please? It's a council meeting. No, I'm sorry, it's a public meeting, yes, but it's a council meeting. We're here to discuss council business. Can we have some quiet, please? Councillor Sam Croft.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. It's something of a technicality that we've got to be holding this meeting at all because we should have approved this 2 weeks ago. This is the council tax resolution, which allows us to collect the council tax. We've already debated the budget. We've already approved the budget based on it. And it allows our officers in the Revs and Bens team the authority to represent us in court in issues where people haven't paid it. Like I said, I apologise that it wasn't approved 2 weeks ago. We hadn't had the formal signed and sealed documents from the Police Commissioner and the County Council, but we have resolved this problem by pushing the full council for budget setting back a couple of weeks, the exact date to be announced in the civic timetable that gets published in May. So I shall move the report, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Croft. Is there a seconder?
I'll second that and reserve my right to speak, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Wilson. Councillor Condacor, you wish to speak?
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Firstly, thank you for letting me be on this panel, because it's quite a small panel, so it's good that we've got a representation from the Greens on it. I actually compared this report to the one last year, because we've had 800 houses built in the borough. So I actually wanted to check that the council tax base was correct. And on this data, this report given to us, it's only 16.5 houses more than a year ago. Obviously, they're Band D equivalents. Obviously, it's not an exact science. I raised this with the officers, and it appears that the council tax base for last year is probably incorrect, but the one for this year is probably correct. The way the council tax base works is you take all the houses correct for the various price bands, you take all the money off for discounts for single persons, etc., and then you assume a non-payment rate of about 2%. So I've looked at this, and the council tax base for this year does seem to be correct after talking to our officers, but that means the council tax base for last year was wrong. So I just point that out so that when we vote for this, I am going to vote against it anyway, because only 39,000 was on the council tax base. 59,000 is how many houses we've got. So lots of issues we need to talk about. But I just wanted to point out that I did look at the council tax base. I have an issue with it, but it's actually, talking to your officers, it's last year's figures they got wrong. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Condacor. The Chief Executive, Brent Davis, wish to clarify. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Just to clarify the situation, that Councillor Condacor has indeed spoken to our Section 151 officer today, who has explained the methodology for calculating the council tax base, and that is correct. That is correct as it is printed here today. In terms of any suggestion that the council tax base last year was incorrect, there's no evidence to suggest that was the case. It was presented and worked out with the appropriate methodology last year, and so there's no reason to believe that was incorrect either, Chair. And that was what was submitted to government at the appropriate time last year. So just to clarify to members, there is no evidence to suggest that last year's council tax base was incorrect. This year's council tax base is correct, and any issues relating to last year's council tax base is an academic matter now in any case. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Davis. I'm sorry, but yeah, it's not a question for now. You need to put that. It's sorry. If you speak to Brent Davis after the meeting, that's the Chief Executive. He'll point in the right direction. Any other member? No, not seeing any other member. Coming back to Councillor Wilson as a seconder.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think Councillor Condacor is trying to slightly mislead people when he's saying that only 39,000 properties pay council tax and there are 59,000 in the borough. He knows full well that that is the Band D average, and that the vast majority of our properties in Nuneaton and Bedworth, in fact I think it's 80% of the properties or thereabouts in Nuneaton and Bedworth, are between the bands of A and C. I think there's actually one lower than A as well from memory, but... Pardon? I think it might be AA from memory. AR, they're on the back of the paperwork. So you have AR, A, B and C. And so many of those properties together equate to one Band D property. That is how the calculations work. So Councillor Condacor is trying to make some kind of assertion that 20,000 properties are not fulfilling their obligation or contributing to the overall services that this council provides. That is incorrect. It is a mathematical equation to make a Band D equivalent. But also, taking into that account, we do have council tax support scheme, which is ratified by this council every year. I think we did it at the Budget Council meeting on the 13th as well, where we do give discounts to people in properties, depending on their circumstances, some of which get a full discount, and others will also get a partial discount. So that would also come off the total number of properties paying council tax. So I think we need to be fair and absolutely clear with the residents, Mr Mayor, that this isn't 20,000 properties actually trying to backtrack on their obligations. It is a mathematical equation. And I hear calls to resign from the gallery. I'll actually tell them to, if they don't like it, that those of us are actually working on behalf of the residents, whereas others don't work at all, Mr Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Wilson. Back to Councillor Croft. Did you wish to sum up? No. So we'll move to the vote on the recommendation before us in relation to this council tax setting. And it does need, I'm advised it does need to be a recorded vote of each member as well. So I'll call on the Chief Executive, Mr Davis, to take that vote.
Thank you, Chair. So if members could indicate whether they for the resolution, against it, or wish to abstain when I call out your names. Councillor Baxter-Payne. Councillor Beetham. Councillor Clark. Councillor Croft. Councillor Condacor. Councillor Shires. And Councillor Wilson. That is carried, Chair.
That vote is carried. There being no other items on the agenda this evening, I thank you all for attending, and that is the council tax meeting concluded. Can we stop the recording now, please? Thank you. Thank you, everyone.